Hi, my name is John Skånefors from Visma Talent Solutions, and today we're going to take a look at a recruitment process in Talent Hire. So we will begin our process with creating a case, and we're always creating a case when we're beginning a recruitment process, no matter what that process actually looks like. And when we're creating our case, we'll start with an assignment title, and this is also the title that will be used in the ad. Then we proceed with selecting our organization, and the way the tool is built, it means that most of the settings, they are on the organizational level. And so what this means is that you are able to have different organizations on the same account that in reality actually works in very different ways. However, typically you will have your settings on the main organization and they will be inherited to the lower levels, and you might change some small features such as a logo or the description of the workplace, for example. Then we go ahead and select our recruitment process, and that is what's deciding essentially how we will be working within this specific case. So it could be that we want to do a competency-based recruitment process with a requirement profile and templates for interviews, reference checks, etc. It could be a simple process with all the basics in order to get a quick recruitment done. Or it could be some other type of process that you could tailor to your specific needs. We'll go ahead and go with a simple basic process today, which contains, of course, the basics of the recruitment so that you can get started and get your applications in as fast as possible. Then we'll proceed to select some standard fields, which you will find in any tool essentially. So it's geographical location, form of employment, scope, etc. After that, it's time to build our recruitment group. And so what this does is that it decides who should have access to this specific case and what should they be able to do within this case. Now, this is one way to build your accesses. You can also have them on organizational levels or essentially however you want to have them. In this case, I will have to add people to my recruitment group. And when I add them, I get to select by which role they should access this case. And so typically you will have a view permission, you will have some kind of middle of the road permission and one admin permission. So you'll select the role and save. We can also do some notification settings, for example, reminder to terminate the recruitment. And when we feel happy with our case, we can go ahead and save it and proceed. The next step in the process will be the option to create some automations based on different things. So I will create a new rule, and then we have the opportunity to select different triggers. So for example, every new application received, maybe you want to send them to for testing. You could base it on new external test results received. Could also have new answers to questionnaire received, which is the one I will be using for this example. And so when I select new answers to questionnaire received, I will have to select which questionnaire I would like to base this off of. So I'll select my questionnaire, and then I get to select how I want the candidate to answer, or the opposite. In this case, let's say that we want to pick out the candidates that are actually qualified to be able to get this role. So I will answer how I would like for the candidate to answer. So I'll take these two, and I'll take these three. And this means that the candidate will have to answer with either this option, and this option, or this option. So I will have do the following if all conditions are met. I will keep it this way, but I could also select the condition above is not met. And so what happens now is that I get to select an action. And the actions, they are based on what kind of email templates, statuses, events in general that you have on your account. Now, of course, Talent Hire is delivered with a base module that you can use out of the box, but you also have options, of course, to customize it to your needs. So I will select an action. In this case, I will have two qualified, meaning that the candidates that answer the questionnaire in the way that I've asked them to answer, they will be categorized as qualified automatically. Of course, saving a lot of time in the selection process, because there's not really any reason for the person doing the selection to manage all the candidates manually that will not be able to get the job in the end. So this is a way to save a lot of time in the recruitment process and improve your time to hire. Now, we can also add some more stuff to this. So let's say we want to improve the communication with candidates. So that's one of the main complaints that candidates have today, is that they are not receiving enough communication regarding where they are in the process. Some of them, they are not even receiving rejection. So this is a very easy way for you to stand out in the market. So I will add more, and this time I will select an action that is contact. I will select an email template. And in my email template, it essentially says, hello, candidate's name. We're happy to inform you that you have fulfilled the basic requirements for this role, and therefore you will be able to move further within the process. And of course, the idea is that you describe your process in this email. So now we made sure that the candidate knows what is happening, but we still have to do something more, because if I am a candidate and I send in my application and I get an email 2 seconds later telling me how great I am, I can probably figure out that no one actually looked at my application, right? So what we want to do here in order to really have a good candidate experience is that we want to delay the send. So I can select in 2 days, in 5 days, or a specific date. Now, in this case, of course, I want it to run continuously until the last application date, so I will select 2 or 5 days, in this case, 5 days. So what we've done now is that we've made sure that we're saving a lot of time on the time to hire by automatically selecting candidates that are qualified based on their responses. And we've also made sure to deliver a good candidate experience without affecting the work of the recruiters. So we can go ahead and save that rule. And typically, if I have a rule for this, I would make the same rule, but the opposite, essentially, that if they are not answering correctly, they'll get a status that is not qualified, and they will also get a message sent out 5 days afterwards that will say essentially, hello, candidate's name. Unfortunately, we have to inform you that you do not fulfill the basic requirements for this role, and therefore you are not able to move further in the process right now. But if you feel like you have something to add to your application, feel free to do so until the last application date. And typically what will happen is the recruiter, they can focus on the candidates that are actually able to get this role. And on the last application date, they will just filter for everyone that is not qualified and send out the rejections in bulk. All right, let's continue and creating the actual ad. So we can see that the ad title has been fetched here automatically. I get to select if it's an external or internal recruitment. And of course, this also decides whether or not it goes to your external website or your internal website. And speaking of websites, we have several different solutions that you can select between depending on what kind of needs that you have. We'll select the publishing date. I can easily select where I want to publish it. And quickly, I can search for a classification before proceeding with the rest of the ad. In this step, I have everything pre-selected and locked, so I actually don't have to do anything here. Making it easier for the one that is creating the ad and making sure that all the ads are up to our standards. And speaking about making things easy, let's use a template for our ad. So I will apply my template from here, and my ad description will be fetched automatically. And as we can see, we can customize this with our own headlines. We have different types of lists, etc. So you really can tailor the ad based on your needs. We can also add video and pictures to the ad if we would like to. And then we have some automatically fetched texts, and we can also add our contact person directly into the ad. And when we feel happy with the ad, we can proceed and take a look at the preview. And so when we've made sure that everything looks okay, then we can go ahead and publish the ad. Of course, given that I have the right to actually publish the ad. If I don't, instead I have the option to notify the responsible publisher. In this case, I will go ahead and publish it. And then the ad will be sent out automatically to the publication channels that you have selected. Now, before we take a look at managing candidates, I want to show you quickly how it looks from the candidate perspective, or rather an example of how it may look for the candidate. So, one thing that we're working a lot with Talent Hire is to make sure that you are able to get your brand out there. And one step in that direction is to make sure that you are able to brand your application form, so you are able to add your own pictures, your own colors, your logos, etc. And of course, as a part of this, you're also able to brand your email address. So when you're contacting candidates from the system, it's supposed to go from your account, not ours. So to make sure that you're standing out in the market, of course. And the rest of the form, it may look like completely different ways depending on what kind of settings you have. You can have a lot of options here for the candidate to fill in, or very few options, all depending on what kind of information you need in your applications. And now it's time to take a look at how it looks like when we actually have some candidates within our case. So, when my ad is published, one of the first things that I may want to do is start scheduling for interview times. In Talent Hire, we have 2 different ways to schedule for interviews depending on your needs. We have the base module, which means that you will have to manually add interview times, and then we have an add-on that you are able to use, which is synced to your calendar. So the difference is, of course, that in one of them you add them manually, and in the other it syncs to your calendar and fetches interview times automatically based on some base settings. For example, how long the interviews should be, how far into the future they are able to schedule an interview, etc. No matter which option you choose, they will work the same way after that, meaning that we will send out the invite from the system via an event, and of course we have an email template there, and the candidates, they will get a link, and within that link all the interview times that are available will be listed for the candidate to select. So everything from this point out is automated. So if a candidate schedules an interview time, of course you will get a notification, you will get it in your calendar, and so will the candidate. If they select that there are no times available that suits them, of course, you will also get notifications for that. And when a candidate has scheduled themselves to an interview time, it will automatically be removed from the list. So you don't have to worry about doing anything manually from this point on. Of course, we can also contact candidates from the system. If you want to, you're able to have 2-way communication enabled as well, meaning that the candidate can actually reply to the things that you send out. We can change statuses manually, as well as we can do it automatically. Of course, we are also able to send out rejections via the system. Send them out or just mark that they have been notified about a rejection. We can also rank our candidates. I have personal ranking enabled here, and what that means is that each person that are allowed to make a ranking will make their own ranking, and it will fetch an average value based on each ranking. And this is a very good way to work if you want to have several people involved in the recruitment process, because you can see what each person ranked and you can have a dialogue based on that. Now, if we actually go into a candidate, of course, we can see everything that you have decided that the candidate should add to their application. So it might be a CV, it might be answers to questionnaire. You're also able to upload your own documents to the candidate. And of course, if you do that, that will only be visible for the recruiters, not for the candidate themselves. There's also an option to have a direct integration in order to add your employment agreement directly to Talent Hire and being able to send it out from Talent Hire and getting, of course, the signed copies back, of course, along with the original copy. And from here, you can have additional integrations so that it's sent over to archiving, to pre-onboarding, or essentially whatever you'd like. On each candidate, we have a note field as well, and this is very useful to communicate regarding the candidates. So instead of sending an email, for example, we can do it directly in the system by tagging the person we want to communicate with and just adding our comment and saving. And so when I tag someone, a notification will be sent out, and if they click that notification, they will be brought specifically to where I added this note, making sure that we do not need to send any personal information outside of the system. And even if we add some personal information to the comment, it will not leave the system. And of course, it will be purged along with the rest of the application according to your settings. We have the contact tab, and of course from here we can see everything that was sent out. We also have read receipts, so we can see if the candidate actually saw what you sent out. And in addition to this, if you have two-way communication, this works as a regular email thread. So it will be a thread of everything. You're able to reply to the candidate, they're able to reply to what was sent out. Again, making sure that you have everything in one place and making sure that it's purged according to GDPR. And so when we've gone through all our candidates and we've ranked them, etc., then of course we would like to hire someone. So we can select the candidate that we would like to hire. We'll select hire, and we'll just add that event. And of course everything will be updated in terms of statistics, any integrations that you may have. And after that, we can go ahead and terminate our recruitment. Now, if there is a situation where I have not sent out definitive feedback to every candidate, and when I'm saying definitive feedback, I'm talking about either rejecting or hiring a person, then we'll get a warning. You have X amount of candidates that have not yet received definitive feedback. So this is kind of a safeguard to make sure that no candidates are left out without actually getting the information about the recruitment. And then I can easily select, yes, I want to send feedback, select everyone that have not yet received feedback. And I only have the rejection and the hiring statuses from here. So rejection notified, add. And then I can go ahead and close my recruitment. And depending on what you want, you're able to add your own closing reasons. That of course will be fetched automatically to statistics. And when we close the recruitment, it will be purged according to your settings, and any integrations will be sorted out automatically. And that is a recruitment process in Talent Hire. Thank you.